David here. In this video, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about pick and pluck. So what is it? And why do you even care? So here's the thing. This is quite some advanced topics I'm going to cover here in TypeScript. And it's all about how you do type programming with TypeScript, right? It's actually really powerful tools to get you really far in building sophisticated application, but don't overdo it. Here's a scenario where you will see the usage and why programming a type could be useful. And we will tie that to the same idea of programming with object and function as you will do normally, but just focus on type. So let's dive into the code. Here I have a simple type. You can think of it as data coming from a server, right? Gem data from server. And then we have this pick type, which is basically a TypeScript utility type that allows you to say, hey, from that type, which is the gems data coming from a server, can I just pick the name and the kudos? In that specific case, we're only picking this property and we're generating a new type, which is now called gem type, and that only has name and kudos, right? So I'm using it right there, and then it basically, I create an object that contains this information. That is pretty obvious why you will use something like pick, right? In this case, gem data from server only has 3 properties right there, and we want to pick only 2. But imagine that huge object coming from a server and you just want to pick only the things you need. Okay, if you're using GraphQL, you're probably doing it in a different way because you can actually select the property you want from a backend, from a data source, right? So the first thing here is, what is behind pick? What if we were to basically recreate a function that is instead of pick type? How would you do so? So as I said, this is not a trivial thing in TypeScript, and the more you do that, the more you get used to it, the more you realize the power of such a thing, right? So here is the way you should think about it. You can think of it as a function. So pick function. And what does it take? All right, pick function actually takes the type from, the type you're going to create a new type from. So I'm going to call it type from, right? So this one here has a certain type, right? So we're going to give it a T right there, right? So that's already one thing. Now, what about these 2 things? These 2 things there represent properties of that type T there, right? So if T there is an object, you gotta see the properties of that object will be the one that should be passed on a second part right there. So how would you express that? So I'm just gonna call that properties here. But then how will I express that in terms of typings, right? So TypeScript has a way to basically say, hey, I want to access the key of something, right? It's pretty simple. Key of what? Key of T, right? So it will be key of T there. But key of T is missing just one thing, right? Actually, here we can go and say, okay, in that case, we can do some work and then get the data from the key of T. But before I go there, you clearly see here is the T part. So the type, the gem data from server that we're picking right there. And then here are a list of properties that we're going to pick from it. So key of T and T, like T, key of T. I repeat myself here so you understand what is happening right there. Now, let's just go ahead and implement that type right there. Okay, it's a type, so call it pick type. So what is pick type doing, right? So pick type, as you see right there, right, it's going to take a generic right there. So that first thing here, you can think of it indeed as a parameter. So we're going to call that T. But how about the second one? And as you can see there, what we wrote right there, we said, hey, that thing here has to be a key of T. That's basically what we wrote. But that just doesn't work really well because T here is defined over there. Let's read that error. So it says duplicate identifier of T. Well, that's not really what I meant right there. What I want to do there is to say like key of T are a set of properties that are available in here. But actually what we want something that it's one or multiple of these properties. Like this one are two of three properties here. If I had picked only kudos, it will just be one property out of the three, right? So the way you will express that is basically to say, hey, here I need a type. So let's call it type V. And then we're gonna say that this one should extend key of T right there. You gotta think of key of T. And you just gonna see right away, it's telling you that key of T is name, kudos, branch. So when I say V extend, right? So for example, if I say V is equal name and kudos, see, then V is basically a subcategory of the key of T. It is a subcategory of it. So that's basically what we're saying here. Here we're saying we want a subcategory of this list of keys. The category could be of the same size, in the sense like you pick all of them. In that case, you don't need a pick. But the V extend thing, you gotta really understand that we're talking about that subcategory. So once you have that, then you have to go ahead and do the implementation right there that will make it work, right? So if you look at it right there, right now, what we have is say, hey, gem type is empty because we're not doing really much there. Now, the last thing that we have to do right there, right here, is basically saying that each key, we're gonna get the keys coming from V, key in V. So you see here will be name and kudos. So like when we select name and kudos here, we're going to pick that from T, right? So here it says key in V. So now it's basically that one and that one. And then you will say that key name, pick it from there. And then you're going to see that that one is now picking up the right set of keys, right? So that's basically the re-implementation of pick type here in TypeScript, right? It's not trivial. Really, you're probably going to have to pause that video right now and then look at it right again, because it's just not trivial. But I want to just add one more layer. Now that we understand that V extend key of T, so here we actually have to add that V. So let's do that. We're going to have V here, and then we say V extend key of T, right? From the moment we do so, we have access to quite some powerful mechanism right there. But V here, I'm actually making a small mistake here because that one has to go over here, and then here, this one has to be V. And as the V you put right there, just going to be an array, right? So here we're saying that give me this as an array. And now here I can go ahead and say, hey, return. I'm just gonna use the map right here. Will probably be pretty easier. And then we just pick it up like this. So if I then go right here and then I say, let me get a gem like this one. So we have that thing right there. And I'm just gonna call the function pick fn. And then I will say, give me that. I'm just gonna get the name. If I go here, let me go like that, cost res, and then look at res, you're gonna see that he only picked the name right there. That function here, you can call that the pluck function. And TypeScript actually had, at some point in their blog, they had a way to explain that function. I will link that in the description right here. So that's basically it. And this is a quick view on how you will rebuild existing typed in TypeScript. And we have plenty of them. I'm gonna dive into 5 to 10 of them, and hopefully by the end of this series, you will understand how you can leverage type programming in your own TypeScript, right? So the main key here is this one. How would you write this? And if you understood this, please write in the comment that I got it. If not, I would love you to go in the comment and say that you didn't understand fully. And I'm going to try to come up with more example on how to explain that. And beyond that, I invite you to go on hackages.io. We have an advanced set of exercises in TypeScript that will allow you to actually give it a try. Okay? See you on the next video. You take care. Bye.